Welcome back, everybody. Today I want to talk about getting a lanyard put on this fixed blade here. I got a Kubi Brave that I received in the mail yesterday. It's D2 tool steel, full tang, green and black G10. Looks like it's a layered G10. Really nice look. Feels really good in your hand. But for fixed blades, bushcraft knives, this is more of a bushcraft knife to me than a everyday carry. So for bushcraft knives, I put a little bit different style of a lanyard on my knives. So I kind of wanted to maybe just do a little bit of a tutorial, just show you all how and what I do for my fixed blades that are going to be used for hard use, and feel like I need to have a lanyard to help make sure I don't lose it as I'm swinging it, right? Last thing you want to do is throw your knife when you're trying to chop wood, chop limbs, clear brush, all that stuff. So I get a fairly decent size length of Atwood rope, 550 paracord. I use Atwood. It's probably the best 550 paracord I've ever used. I've used quite a few different options, but Atwood by far is the best. And I find the center just so that way it's even on both sides. We're gonna be a little bit dangerous here. Do it without the sheath for the first wrap here. So what I do, I actually set it the other way. That way I can see. Let me see if I can zoom in here. And you all can see what I'm doing here. Let's scoot this over. And there we go. So what I'm going to do is I take the ends of the rope and I give them a pinch. And then I'll take this loop here and I will pinch that with my fingers. And I'll take my left lanyard and go through the loop underneath the right tail and back through that loop on the left. Now here's where you can get started off sideways and crooked and everything else. As you get it cinched down just a little bit to where you can manage your tails, and then you're pinching this knot here and tightening it up. And just like that, you've got it started. So we'll keep doing this. I usually make 4 to 6 knots in my lanyards, so this is no different. For that sake, it is going to be a little bit different as far as what I do with the excess here. So let's get this going here. I don't like the way that looks. Let's start this one over here. Bear with me. I'm doing it on camera, through the camera, so it's not as easy as it looks. So then I'm going to do another one here. And for video purposes, I think I'm just going to do 4 knots. And then we'll continue with the later part, or the end part of the lanyard itself. You can make little designs if you want, but I usually either put a little ball, paracord ball at the end, or I will just end up giving myself some space and putting a knot toward the end. So there we go. We've got four snake knots, right? And let me just show you a little demonstration of what I'm actually talking about here. So I have a lanyard on this fixed blade here. This one is definitely a bushcraft knife, but I've got a lanyard. I've got my knots. And I haven't burned off the ends because I wasn't sure whether I wanted the ball or I just wanted knots out here as well. But the reason I do this is when you're swinging this knife, let me zoom back out so you can see. When you're swinging this knife, you know, chopping, whatever, you don't want to lose this, throw it at your toes. Definitely wouldn't be good. So I make the loop big enough I can put it in my hand, and then I can grab it. So as you're chopping and this falls off or you lose grip, it's still attached to you and it's not a flying object. So like this one here has got the lanyard ball. And I can do that as well. But for this one here, I'm just going to make the same knots. We've already done the lanyard ball. You've already seen the lanyard ball. So let's just make some knots out here just to tie this end off. So we're going to do the same things we did down here at the beginning. You're going to grab your tails, your lanyard tails, right? And make sure you have yourself enough room to get your hand in, right? You're going to take your right tail, you're going to make a loop. The left tail goes through the loop, underneath the right lead, and then out. And you got to kind of watch, because if you just pull on these right now, it's going to slide down. The knot's going to slide all the way down. So, I can get it tightened up here. And sometimes I've got to use, sometimes I use my multi-tool or my Knipex, Cobra pliers. Just depends on how beat up my hands are that day, I guess. That's what tools I'm going to use. Today we're doing pretty good, so we're just going to go by hand. We're going to do another knot. Pull it down here. Sorry, this is very hard to show on camera, but some people make them a little looser. I make sure they're extremely tight. And so we're going to try to get another 4 knots out here. I think we can do it. We're running out of cordage, but I think we can make it. And of course, as we run out of cordage, I might have to get my Knipex out. Go through around this little tiny tail that I've got left, and then back through it there. So there we've got 4 knots down by the knife, and we got 4 knots out here. Grab my Knipex, put those burnt ends in the pliers, and give it a pull. That way it doesn't fly out. Right there, there's 4 more knots. So we've got 4 knots. We've got a hole for our hand, and we've got 4 more knots. So they match. So these guys here, you can leave tails, but for this one I don't want this knot to come loose. So I've got a little titanium, what are they called? Marlin spikes. And I'm going to use that as I burn off the ends here. I'm going to use that Marlin spike to push this melted cordage into itself. So that way it doesn't fray and it doesn't come loose. And then of course I'm going to go back through, make sure all this is nice and smooth. Alright, so again we've got a Kubi Brave. I think I'm going to use this as a bushcraft knife, even though I've got multiples. I like this blade shape. So in the hand, fits really good. Fits really good backwards. I wasn't sure how I was going to like this knife when I ordered it, but it is very nice. And then we've got my cordage here. So hand through, oops, sorry, hand through, and there it is. We've got this. I might have made it a little bit too big, but this knife is now secure. Chopping, hatcheting, whatever you're going to do with this, it's connected to you yourself. It's not going to go flying. It's not going to end up flying and hitting your buddy that's trying to help you get the wood chopped or the briars or whatever cut off. It's attached to your body. But that's all I have for you today. I definitely thank you guys for coming back and watching this video. If y'all do like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that like bar, and I thank you. I'll see you next time.